Coming to you from inside the suites at Globe Life Field, two Rangers broadcasters who come on your TVs every day of the season to talk about the Rangers.
If people don't understand the name of it, the other day was 3 a.m. on a bus and you guys were still talking Rangers.
Now they're putting down their broadcast mics to pick up the podcast ones because they are still talking Rangers.
Hey everyone, welcome back into another episode of Still Talking Rangers alongside Dave Raymond, Jared Sandler. Happy to be with you, and we've got a really special guest joining us today. You want to take a guess who our guest is?
I already know who it is.
You do?
I can't wait to talk to him. It's Corey Seager.
Corey Seager, that's right. Have you heard
Yeah.
of him? I've heard of him. Everyone's heard of him. Yeah, we're really excited to chat with Corey. That's coming up here in a few minutes. But hey, what about Corey's buddy? He's really close with Josh Smith. How about Josh Smith, AL Player of the Week?
Player of the Week. I love the fact that his week, he had multiple hits in every game except one. He went 1 for 3 on Sunday and scored the winning run.
Yeah.
Like the game he couldn't get 2 hits, he scores the winning run in a 2-1 win. He played designated hitter, shortstop, first base during the week. I mean, that's just it. Like, he does everything. Had a great week and very well deserved and huge, right? Team playing well. I still say it goes back to Marcus getting hot. He got hot, made it okay for a couple other guys to get hot. It got a little contagious. Put up some big runs on that road trip. It's great. Sweep the White Sox. Coming home. Player of the Week honors for Smitty. Pretty good state right now.
I'm still upset he wasn't an All-Star last year.
Fair.
What you just said, like, he does everything, right? Like, this guy is, but Player of the Week, and you can vote, rangers.com/vote. You can vote for Josh Smith and Corey Seager and all their friends. But, yeah, great to see Josh Smith get going. Great to see this lineup come to life for more than just a game, right? Yes, had the 2 big outputs against the Twins. Even games in which they have not scored those since, they've had a lot of chances, and it doesn't seem there hasn't been a Rangers score 1 run and go 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position because they just didn't have opportunities, right? That's been good to see, and I think that's what gives me confidence that things have turned a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still a ways to go,
Mhm.
and Boch has said as much. But they won 3 straight series coming into us taping this episode. 4 of the last 5 series, putting up more runs, showing a little more life offensively. It's getting there. And then you see a guy like Ezekiel Duran, right? Had that great game Sunday, a couple of doubles, makes a nice play defensively. And I think that's when you feel like things are starting to turn, is when on days when maybe everybody wasn't raking that day, oh, how about this? Little surprise performance from somebody who's had a tough go. And that's when the magic starts. So hopefully that continues in the series against Kansas City and then onto that road trip. Again, a road trip to Pittsburgh and Baltimore, 2 teams kind of licking their wounds right now. Hopefully they can continue this nice run.
Baltimore, by the way, I saw like 98, 99.
Oh, it's going to
Pretty
be
muggy.
lovely.
Yeah.
Feels like 108.
Yeah. I'll sit next to you on the bus, and we can both be just drenched in sweat after the game
But talking Rangers.
but still talking Rangers.
Yeah.
And Mike Bassick even mentioned at 3 a.m. He brought it up in the broadcast, right?
Yeah, I love that when he catches us on the bus.
Yeah.
He'll turn around, like, what's he doing? And he'll take a picture of us and then text it to us. Still talking Rangers.
Yeah. But we do. And we are, and we will, and we have been.
True.
We're going to chat with the Rangers shortstop, Corey Seager. When we come back, first, though, a message from our friends at Whataburger.
Okay, Jared, Whataburger's Mushroom Swiss Burger is basically a mushroom lover's dream. 2 layers of perfectly grilled mushrooms, creamy au jus sauce, and cheese so melty it should have its own fan club. Try it before it's gone. Okay, welcome back. We're still talking Rangers, America's fastest growing podcast, and excited to bring in Corey Seager. Corey, thank you for taking a little time for us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It
Very
should be
nice
fun.
of you. I want to go back we'll just start real quickly with a little history, right? So let's go back. You're 19 years old. It's 2013, and you are with the Great Lakes Loons. Tell me about that experience, and in particular, how young announcers can oftentimes really help young talented ball players feel better about themselves.
Exactly, swing advice, how to play defense, all those things, taking walks,
Yeah.
all those little things, maybe don't stop stealing bases, all those things that announcers can help you with. That's where Jared taught me my ways and how to get here.
What do you remember about that year in particular? Because there's one thing, and we've kind of talked about it. There's one thing that like really stands out about 2013 in Midland, Michigan.
The one game where we got winded out because it was so cold.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Literally winded
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Winded out. Where were you?
We were in Great Lakes. The only reason was Detroit didn't play, right? Or we were gonna.
Yeah, the Tigers got postponed,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, domino effect.
Well, how cold was it?
It had to be 0, and the trees were literally blowing over. Like
Oh.
2 trees fell outside the field.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was bad. What stinks about baseball there is that you always get excited about opening day, right? I mean, that's such a big day, but not there. Like opening day, like you don't draw. July 4th is kind of, unless it's a team that drew a ton every game. July 4th was kind of the big day because opening day and opening month wasn't that fun.
No, at all.
And-
not fun at all.
I mean, I remember his year there. That April was brutal, and I just can't imagine what hitting was like. And it's not like you only your home games, then you fly cross country because
Yeah.
that league is all in that area. So that just couldn't have been the most fun in the world.
No, you try to get jammed your first at bat, literally just so your hands would go numb. You didn't feel them the rest of the day. It was bad. That and Razor Shines. Remember him yelling? We had the rain delay, and was it Rathjen, I think, slipped out of the box?
Yes,
And he literally took us off the field.
yeah, Razor Shines, yeah, long time. He also got into a fight with Jose Valentin,
Yeah.
who was managing the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. They were a Padres affiliate. They got into a fight. They both got ejected, and they got in a fight in the tunnel, I think.
Yeah, minor league fights are pretty awesome because that's real lawlessness.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, it is insane. Did you guys have a number of little brouhahas?
I mean, throughout the minor leagues, but I don't remember that year really.
Yeah.
Um,
And that was a big family-friendly organization. And I don't know if anything was ever, and I don't know if it would have mattered if messaging was shared to you guys about that, because obviously when you're in between the lines, it doesn't matter. But I think some organizations might encourage that. I don't know that would have been the best for the Great Lakes Loons. That was very, yeah. But so I was really excited when the Rangers signed you because I always think, and we both spent time in the minor leagues, it's really cool to follow guys that you saw at an early age, right?
Yeah.
I feel that with the USC guys that I did laundry for, watching them grow up as ball players, but then also, and it's not even just in baseball, like they're guys, we were talking about, you mentioned Jeremy Rathjen, what he's doing, how bright he is, kid out of Rice, like was going to have success in life no matter what, whether it's baseball or not. I think it's so cool. And so when the Rangers signed you, I thought it was pretty awesome because it's this guy that I saw play when you were a teenager.
And
But
you
I don't.
immediately identified him as the talent in the group, right?
Yeah,
Obviously, he was a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
and-
Well, I just remember every ball he hit that April in particular was like it felt like it was scorched. And then there was a game you had 2 home runs. I want to say at home, and it got to the point where we were waiting every day, like, hey, Corey's gone, and eventually got called up. Didn't spend the full year there, but it was a lot of fun to watch. I imagine when Corey signed with the Rangers, though, he didn't think, hey, I can't wait to reunite with this broadcast kid.
Jared's going to be there.
Yeah.
Well, was that part of the reason why you did sign with the Rangers?
100%. I never talked about it
Yeah.
before, but we'll talk about it now.
Yeah. Yeah. What was that like for a team to like prioritize you? They're like, hey, we want you. You're going to be the guy that we want to try and move into this new chapter with, along with Marcus. And I know Cole Calhoun was a part of that big day we had in John Gray later that evening. But to just kind of be a part of a new chapter coming from the Dodgers where you had a ton of success individually and as a team, but now you were trying to replicate that with an organization that hadn't had that success.
Yeah, it was cool. The that was kind of the draw, right? You kind of wanted to get in on the ground floor, and once I'd heard that they had never won before, that was exciting, to kind of see if you could build something and see if you could build something to a winning organization. And it happened a lot faster than I thought it would, but I'm glad it did. So, but no, that was the draw. It was fun, hearing CY's message and how he wanted to see this operate, and it was cool.
How like that part of it, right? When you're being courted, uh, is it similar team by team that somebody comes and makes a presentation or at least has a at length conversation with you about what they are trying to do? And then how actively do you dig into that a little bit? Yeah, well, what do you think about this and what's your talent level there? Like, how does that work?
Um, yeah, I mean, everybody's got a different story. Organizations run differently. They prioritize different stuff. So you're just trying to find the best fit for you and the best person that you can be involved with. And this was definitely the choice for me.
And it's worked out the way you figured it would?
I think it's hard to argue with that one, after winning in 23. So that was why you came here. That's why you wanted to still be here. And that's what we're still trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
That's why we're still talking Rangers.
And that's
Still
why
talking
we're
Rangers
still
fo-
talking Rangers football. All right,
Yeah.
excellently done.
Yeah.
Can we maybe go personal stuff a little bit, or do you want to go baseball
Whatever you
stuff?
want. Yeah. No, I'm good personal. Let's do it.
Let's dig in a little personal stuff. Congratulations, you're having a baby.
I am. Yeah.
What's the deal? When are we expecting the baby?
In September. Yeah.
Okay.
September.
Have you peaked? Boy, girl.
Yes, we're having a little boy. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Did you
Exciting.
reveal and all that stuff, or?
Yeah, we did it in spring training. It was fun. It was just me and her. It was intimate. That's kind of
Alright.
our style. So it was a really exciting day. She was pretty adamant that we were having a girl, and even when she opened her eyes to the blue, she said girl, and it was like, I don't know what to do. Like,
Can't help this.
yeah, it's a
sorry.
boy. Sorry, babe. So, but no, it was a lot of fun, and we're really excited, and we want to have a girl eventually. And I thought personally I'd be better with girls, but the boy being first, just being able to experience this
Yeah.
and being a little older and actually remembering it, it's definitely going to work out. We're excited.
Yeah.
That I've heard some players, like Derek Jeter always say, I don't have time for kids while I'm playing, right? I think that was one of his deals, relationships. And then I know, like, I've heard players say how cool it is to have a kid or kids who they're born at a stage where, God willing, you're able to play long enough that they can remember daddy playing baseball, right? So that is something that would be cool?
Yeah, I think I'm probably a little more on the other end, and Maddie was definitely the one pushing. I always said that I didn't want my oldest to be more than 5 by the time I was done playing. I just didn't want to miss out on him, right? Like, I completely understand the side of like wanting him to experience this, but I guess selfishly, like I would rather experience him, like I saw it with my brother and how much he just missed him, right? He didn't get to go to everything. He wanted to be there. It tore him up, all that stuff, and I didn't want that. And now that we're having him now, it's like, maybe you should have done it 2 years ago, so where he was 8 instead of 6 and stuff like that. So it goes back and forth, but in general, I think it was the right time and we were excited and we still are.
I feel like teams are better about that too, right? Making it a little easier for you guys to still be a person, be
Yeah,
a human being.
exactly.
I think they've done a better job.
They do, and they do a really good job here, Even the girls, they miss out and they have the daddy-daughter dinner a couple times a year just so they can come in and experience it too. So the Rangers are really good about that for sure.
So I know everyone's inclination is, oh, Corey, when are you going to put a bat in this kid's hands? I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I don't think I'm going out on a limb. That kid's going to have a golf club in his hand before he has a bat. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd rather him know what Callaway is than Trinity, Like, I'd rather him know the golf brands than the baseball brands for sure.
So you love golf. And I know that seems like a generic thing to say a lot. You love golf,
I do.
right? But you guys both love golf at a level that's more than, hey, yeah, I'd like to play once a week. You don't get the opportunity to play a ton.
No.
But when did the love of golf really start?
I played a little bit in high school. I had a buddy who played on our high school team, and we kind of played as much as we could, just being gone and everything, and it's hard to do it during the year, So, but I'd probably say like the start of pro ball. That first off season when you like had a bunch of time and you had time to kill, and you just kind of slowly picked it up more and more, and you got better, and it got more fun, and it was probably right around then, and now it's turned into almost an addiction that hasn't gotten better, you know? Like,
Yes.
you plateau so bad, and at this point, like, I wanna take a lesson because I feel like I haven't done it, but then I'm worried it's gonna screw me up because I don't play enough, you know? Like, I'm right in that, like, weird point of really wanting to not dive in because I've fully dove in, but try and be better without getting mad at myself.
Yeah.
'Cause
I don't feel like you'd half effort anything.
No.
Like the way that one of the cool things I think getting to see you every day is just how focused and committed you are and diligent to your craft. And I don't get the sense, even watching you talk trash playing cards, that like golf's something that's like, yeah, I'm okay if I shoot an 85 when like there's someone else out there who's shooting a 75. Like I feel like I don't know.
I would say that is the one thing that I try and not do. You gotta have one thing in your life, right? That
Okay,
you're
so
like,
that's your
it's my fun. It's leisure.
Okay.
That's why I'll never walk right now. Like it is, I'm gonna hop in a golf cart. I'm gonna go have a good time. I'm gonna try and not like overdo this and just honestly, if I like hit the ball well, wherever it goes, it goes. I don't care, right? Like if it falls off the green and I have to chip, it's fine, you know. But as long as I like hit it good, I'm totally fine.
Right. Good strike, right?
Yes,
The
exactly.
result, let's not quibble. Like if it felt
To
good,
an
it was good.
extent, you know?
Yeah,
If
a
you
little
start
bit.
losing balls in the woods, then you're a little upset.
Yes,
But like
that's-
if it's like, yeah, it was a little short, a little far, or
Yeah.
whatever.
See, my golf game is if I hit it flush, if I'm lined up and you've played with me, if I'm lined up the wrong way and it ends up in the woods, I'm still happy. If I hit it straight and I hit it well, I don't care where it goes because that just doesn't happen nearly enough for me.
If I wish one thing for you in your life, it's to play a round of golf with Jared.
Yeah.
Because
in.
it is, you know, you're
That's
around
gonna
a
be the
lot.
next podcast. We'll
There you
go
go.
play
Yeah,
golf.
play golf.
together.
Yeah.
You're a competitive guy.
Yep.
You're around a lot of competitive people. He's got problems. He's got real
Hey,
issues.
we've all been there. That's the thing. We've all been there.
It's not the golf. It's this. He gets really angry very quickly.
I'm competitive. Like I challenged Brett Hayes to athletic decathlon the other day. Brett Hayes is a professional athlete. I'm not, but like I'm in it
Still
to win
gonna be
it.
pissed.
Yeah, I'm like Elvis and I are supposed to do a dot race at some point, and like Elvis is not that far removed from playing professional sports. If I don't beat him and like I'm fully prepared to like check him into the boards or whatever to start, yeah, I don't care what it is. I don't care how little golf I play. I expect to shoot a 75. They're like not under par. But like I want to shoot in the 70s. I have zero reason why I should shoot below 170 with how little I play.
It's fun to watch, though. It's fun to watch. He'll talk a lot of trash to anybody too.
That's the best part about it.
I think I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're not good and it's like there's an irony behind it. But yeah.
You hit a good shot, you let people know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So growing up, 10 acres of land. You got the animals, right? You had the pigs, some cows,
Chickens.
chickens.
Yeah.
Did you have daily chores and responsibilities and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. My chores were definitely feeding the animals when I was growing up. And then we also had gardens too. It's why I'll never pick a green bean a day in my life, and my dad still laughs at that. I'll have gardens. I just don't think I'll ever do green beans. It's just one of those
Oh, okay,
things that
yeah.
scarred you forever.
Yeah.
Same thing with chickens. They're mean little boogers, and
They are.
so Maddie wants them, so I'll end up having them. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
definitely the chores. Clean
But
stalls.
you still like the idea of some land and some, whatever, providing for yourself that way.
Yeah, we'll basically have enough to feed us.
Yeah.
We'll have a couple cows. I'll end up having chickens, unfortunately. Probably end up having green beans because she'll want them. But yeah, we'll definitely do enough to just kind of support us. Nothing too major.
Green beans are the worst. That's
They're the
Why?
worst.
Why? Though? I
literally the
guess I
worst
didn't.
vegetable.
I didn't.
I'm nothing. It had nothing to do for me with the farming of it or anything. I just don't enjoy them. I think they're the worst vegetable.
Oh, you just don't like how they taste.
I hate them.
What is it about the farming that?
It's just the plant having to get in there, and it's hot and muggy and nasty, and you're digging through basically like a viney plant, like it's just whatever reason, it's the green beans, and they grow all over. It's not like they're on the edge, so you're like knee deep in
You're
it. And
digging
just,
for them.
Yeah.
Shocker. I really haven't rolled up the sleeves a ton with the
No
farming.
gardening
Yeah.
or anything like that.
I used to mow the lawn with my dad, but it was a fake lawnmower. I just wanted to hang out with my dad when I was like 3. and that was probably the last time I mowed a lawn.
You got upset that you weren't actually mowing.
Yeah,
the lawn,
yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Hunting. I grew up in Nebraska. We hunted a lot of fowl, like ducks, geese, pheasant, that sort of stuff. Turkey hunting. If you've never done it, it'll change your life. What did you grow up hunting?
Turkey and deer, pretty much.
Okay.
Never really got into the birds. Still really haven't.
Really?
My buddies love it, and they try and get me to do it all the time. And I don't know. I just haven't done it yet. I'm sure as soon as I do it, I'll probably get addicted to it. But
Deer. When did you get your first deer?
my first buck, I was 13, I think. Like nice one, not like a little 4-point spike that you just got excited about and shouldn't have, you know. I was probably 13, but it's been a while. It's been a couple off seasons since I've killed one.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
How much did that, like, I grew up in Dallas. Didn't have land like that. I never, you know, my chores were like take the trash out or fold your clothes, like, but those are real life things. Like your chores, if I don't do the dishes, then my mom will or my dad would, you know, like, but you had legitimate chores. How did that, have you ever thought like how that impacted you, or when you look back on that, like how important that was?
Yeah, for sure. It was almost a job, right? Like, and I always say my first job was scorekeeping, right? Like, and was terrible at it. But that kind of was our jobs. You know, my parents were really big into school, and if you get good grades, you don't need to have a job. I'll pay for your gas, stuff like that. So our jobs were to take care of the farm, and honestly, grateful for it. You know, that's something that I'll make my son do, and just it's good habits and get you up and get you outside and doesn't keep you in. So it's been good. You know, as many scars as I have about it, it's still fun to laugh about and all that stuff. So
Do you cook or anything like that?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say I'm great.
Yeah.
You know, I'm definitely not great. I'm not going to be able to whip up something, but something easy like tacos and burgers, it's hard to screw up. So I can do those things.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's been super helpful. You were there the fateful day in spring training 2 years ago when we really learned that I was lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
Dave looked at me
Not
and I'm
funny,
sweating.
but it was funny at the time.
Yeah, but
It's a bad moment for you, for sure.
It was tough. I don't even want to relive it. March Madness. Dave had ordered like our 7th pizza, but this one was a dessert pizza with like ice cream and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I eat a ton, but like I had to remove myself from the table. And like Mason McKenna was there, and some of the clubbies, and Parker was there.
Yeah.
And I just left. Like I Irish exited to try and get some fresh air. Didn't work. I came back and I just didn't say anything. I start sweating, and you looked at me like, "Are you okay?" And that was my invitation to just get out of there. But
yeah.
so I knew that you were dairy free.
Yeah.
And so you gave some great advice on things, which was really helpful. But you didn't have an episode like that. Yours was
Choice.
Performance based. Yeah. When, why, and what sort of difference that made?
So I was basically told that it's a lot of inflammation based, and I had 2 joint surgeries at 24 years old and 18, and it was kind of like, all right, it's maybe time to just go down different avenues, see how I can make myself feel better. And that's kind of why I chose to do it. During my rehab is when I started and like felt good through it and was not inflamed, I guess. I mean, I went down like a whole batting glove size. My like fingers like shrunk, and yeah, it was crazy just from being puffy basically.
Wow.
And felt good and continued it in 19 and felt good again and just kind of kept going. Yeah.
Wow. So just dairy though, because I've heard that about red meat and frankly proteins, right?
Yeah.
Like the proteins from meats can be very inflammatory. Or if you could just get it from fruits and vegetables, nuts, that type of stuff, it would be awesome for us. I tried it for a while. I did feel better, but it's too much work.
Yeah, it's hard.
You got to get protein from somewhere.
I mean, when I first started and I got a decent grip on things, I mean, I was asking like silly questions like, if it's vegan, does that mean it's dairy free? Which like, but like I didn't know, and he gave me like brands for like ice cream, because like I love ice cream, and thankfully there's a lot more people who do this sort of thing, and so like I feel like the quality's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Pizza I still haven't been able to figure out, and you told me about the no cheese, just basically like but the pizza's the one that still.
Even some of the cheeses now are better, and they actually melt. Before
Ooh.
they were chalky, and it wasn't
Yeah.
even worth having it. Just crisp up the bread and put your toppings on there and go.
Yeah, horrible. If I wish for one other thing for you, we go get ice cream with him. Like I'm telling you, it's disgusting. It is. It's disgusting. We went to this place in Chicago with Bassick, and I got a single
Where'd you
scoop.
guys go?
I couldn't touch
Killins.
it.
Oh,
What
I
was it
didn't
called?
Killins, right?
Killins,
Yeah, we
yeah.
were
And
just
then
walking after dinner.
we bumped into another one in Tampa. But
Yeah,
anyway,
Yeah. Went right back to it.
Yeah, I wish.
he got 3 scoops of this. A scoop roughly the size of one's head.
And that's not my
Disgusting,
fault.
and he
It's not
housed
your
it.
fault. If it's in front of you, you're gonna eat it.
Yeah,
You know?
there were 3 flavors I wanted to try.
Yeah.
They were unique. It wasn't like chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. They were unique flavors.
Yeah.
I think I tasted a couple more. I narrowed it down to 3. And it's not my fault that they gave massive scoops. And then the problem was, this goes to the competitive side, they made a comment early on, you're not going to finish it.
And you did.
And at that point, I
Yeah.
had no choice.
That is the thing with dairy free. There's no like simple ones. So I get that. You walk in, there's like 4 of them. You're like, well, dang, they all kind of sound good, but like,
Yeah.
I just want a chocolate, but they don't have it. So
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I'm trying all 3.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think whether it's that, I mean, we see your stretching routine right down on the field before the game. We don't see whatever goes on before that. But like you guys in general do a whole lot more than what anyone sees at the field, away from the field, on the court, off the court, whatever, to keep your bodies, because that is your weapon, right? You play a premium defensive position, requires a lot of your body, right? How have you learned, like, what has the process been like for you to figure out everything you need to do, which I'm sure has evolved over time,
Yeah.
to put yourself in the best position?
Evolve, trial and error. Things that work, sometimes things don't work and you jump off it. But yeah, food's been a big thing for me this off season, just wanting to have a good year. I cut out kind of like the added refined sugar. Obviously the dairy. And when I did my hamstring, it was frustrating, right? Like that's kind of why you do it. So this was, I wouldn't say like rock bottom for me, because I don't want to say you've getting accustomed to it, but when you're a hamstring guy, it's like, really again, So I went to this place in Wisconsin, when was it? Right before we were in Chicago, and did this huge evaluation, strength, mechanics, running. I told him my whole process, where I deficient, and got a lot of good information, and it's been a lot better. And hopefully you continue to have those experiences and continue to figure out your body and continue to just stay healthy. That's everyone's goal when they show up here, is to be healthy. And we pretty much do everything we do every day on a daily basis to be able to perform and recover and be able to do it again at a high level. So that was a really cool experience for me, for sure.
What's like the most extreme thing either you've done or you've seen a teammate do to that end to maximize either health or utility of their body?
Yeah, experiences like that, or they go to, I don't want guru's the wrong word, but a mechanical guy, to see if they can get more out of their bodies if they're missing a mechanical aspect, or the drive lines, all those things that just try and perform better. This is a really hard game at this level, and every little inch and every little pound and every little muscle fiber can help. So when you see people put that effort in, it gives you confidence, it gives them confidence, and it just builds. So it's a good, healthy working environment when you see people working hard.
I don't think they make them anymore, but the Halo headset, you ever heard of that?
I
That
don't.
electro whatever stimulation of the brain, and it would carve out neural pathways for you to be more efficient in your movements and speed, quickness, strength, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-mm.
Kind of a thing for a while. I wanted to hand you this and see if you could help me out.
Yeah.
I didn't see Tilted Towers on there,
Yeah,
so
no,
I
this
didn't know what to
isn't
make of that.
That's not the right season.
Is that an old season?
No, yes, but not oldest.
Okay, that's a Fortnite map.
It is.
And so I understand you
That's awesome.
you play a little Fortnite, right?
I do.
All right, so where
I
we
enjoy it.
dropping? I want to know,
And this map?
not on this map. I want to know what ballpark outside of Globe Life Field And not just for the ballpark, maybe just the whole experience of you know, life on the road, right? So it's the ballpark, it's the town. For me, it can be the location of the hotel to the ballpark, right? I
Yeah,
like them a little
absolutely.
closer.
Or golf courses.
For sure.
Golf courses,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. So yeah, where are we dropping? We're on the battle bus. Where do you want to go?
Favorite road city? I'm probably gonna go with San Diego, and that trip's coming up here soon, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Coronado Island's pretty great. It's a nice little. We have an off day there too, 4th of July with the military around. That'll be a really fun trip, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Who you sending to the lobby among American League pitchers? A guy that maybe, give me one or two perhaps, that you'd just as soon maybe not be on the mound.
Wait, say that again?
Guys that you don't love facing in the American League.
Oh,
Like
I don't know if I like facing any of them now. Everyone's so good. Oh, I don't want to give anybody credit, I don't think.
I like that. Don't give him any credit.
I'm gonna go with DeGrom because I faced him.
There you go.
It's a good answer because you don't have to worry
So
about
perfect.
Yeah, I don't want to either again ever. I've gotten a couple hits off him, and I like rubbing it in his face, and that's
Yeah.
I don't need him to get me out any more times.
It is amazing to think, like, from when you started to where we are now, just how much pitching has changed.
Yeah, for sure. Just in general, with
Velocities,
everything,
pitch mix. I mean,
types,
yeah.
how they manipulate it. Yeah,
These
everything.
pitching labs are,
Crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like hitters have been left behind in that, like the technologies and whether it was rule changes for years of stuff about rule changes favoring hitters, but that all that stuff has more or less ended up favoring pitchers and that hitters need a break?
I mean, yes, just pure data and numbers can help them. It's easier to manipulate that stuff, right, than our side of it. Just the technology helps them a lot more. In golf, it's different, right? The ball's one
Yeah.
spot, and you can manipulate the numbers and actually see the product come to fruition. Where here, it's so hard, and it's so hard to get people back into the right spot. And even if you do, like, the pitch might be different. All those things where a guy can move on a rubber, switch a pitch, switch a grip, different pressures, and the ball does completely different things. So it's I don't want to say easier because it's an extremely hard thing for them to do, but if they
Yeah.
can figure it out, it's way more beneficial.
So I mean, that dynamic in baseball, a single person can dictate things for another person, and they've got a millisecond to like process it
So
all.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at this lineup, this Rangers lineup, not to, now we're starting to cut close to the bone, but it's been a weird season for this lineup. I was looking back though. You were on that Dodgers team that lost 16 of 17. You guys were run away with it, a 20 some odd game lead. You lose 16 of 17, pull it together, end up going to the World Series. I think the very following year, you guys might have gotten off to a really slow start. Maybe it was the next year, I don't know, but really slow start. But then, of course, end up being the Dodgers again and just rolling. This team, I feel like there are some parallels. This team is expected to be really good.
Yep.
I think it will be really good. Uh, at the same time, there's been a struggle. This beginning has been a struggle. So why will it turn around? Why should fans continue to believe that this lineup will produce the way we think it will?
Um, that clubhouse is really confident. We've had some bad breaks. We've hit some balls that should have been homers that aren't, that can change 5, 6 different games. And it's a completely different year. But everybody's in there working, everybody's trying, everybody's doing everything they can to show up and win a game that night. And I think this team's really good at simplifying that, right? You're not worried about the next 4 months, you're not worried about the next series, we're worried about tonight and trying to win tonight. And if you take care of what you do tonight, the rest will take care of itself, right? You don't watch standings, you don't do that. You're in the moment, you're trying to win today, and it's all that matters. And this team's really good about that.
Are there similar feelings? Like when that Dodgers team was going through that tough stretch, it was wild from a distance to see, right? Like how can that team lose?
Yeah.
Um, but when you're in the middle of it, right? You're in that clubhouse. You guys are good. I think you were 91 and 30 something going into that stretch, which I'm sure helps. But you're confident that you're going to get out of it, I suppose. But what is that like when you're in the middle of something like that?
Yeah, it's believe me, failing's never fun,
Yeah.
right? Nobody wants to fail. Everybody knows how lonely that batter's box is when you're not going well. But everybody's got each other's backs, and that's a huge part of this. It's the camaraderie. It's knowing that Adolis, when he comes up to plate, is going to get that big hit like he did in the extra inning game. Like we know that people have been there before, and we know that we can do it. So that's the confidence you have in everybody.
Yeah. I figure that's probably as important as anything, right? Just believing, knowing
Yep, exactly.
that you can do it. Yeah, it's fascinating, man. It's what a grind you guys put yourselves through
Yeah.
every day. I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows more about failure though than the two of us. So
Hey, I want to ask you before you go, Uncork for a Cause is coming up on the 29th. You and Maddie put this together. I mean, you do a ton of work with kids through the Youth Academy, but this is a separate event. Um, I know the auction, whether you go or not, you can bid on the auction.
Yep.
But what should people know about the event?
It supports the Rangers Foundation, and to be honest with you, it's Karen Morris. I can't say enough about her and what she's meant to me and Maddie, and being able to just kind of give to her and what she does and what she can accomplish in this community. It's fascinating. That's kind of why we enjoy working with her and seeing the good work that she can do, and just want to be a part of what she is and who she's about.
I'll tell you, I hope you don't get mad that I say this, but we talked a few months ago. Yeah. And like some guys, and it's great. They show up and they do things and they put in their 2 hours and they go and kids see and smile, whatever. But like I had a conversation, he brought up like how excited he was that at with the Youth Academy, you felt like you were able to make a difference, which I thought was really cool. Like you were excited about the event the previous night because you connected with the kids and like really felt like they benefited from your expertise. And I just think that's cool because I think a lot of guys, especially in the middle of the season, just it's checking a box, which is meaningful and impactful. It all matters. But I just wanted to give you some credit because I think that's really neat.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah,
I know you don't love the attention being put
No,
on you.
yeah, no, it's definitely about those kids, and it's fun, just to see their faces light up and the questions they come up with, and if you can help one of them get a hit, I know how fun hits are. So just to know you can put a little bit of a joy on somebody's face is cool.
yeah, yeah, and spreading baseball right in the area. Like I
Yep.
know a couple years ago with the batting cages, and it seems like you're always out there. We don't always know about it, but you're always out there uh, doing those things. I think it's great for the sport. Obviously, great for the kids. All this stuff is great for young people, right? Have something to do, have something to strive for, and maybe it'll be golf for your youngster one of these days.
You'd love it.
Oh man, love
Uncle
it.
Dave will take him out. I'll tell you that
Carry
much.
that bag around anywhere.
Yeah. Corey, thanks so much, man. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Get
Yeah.
some knocks tonight.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
All right, more Still Talking Rangers when we come back, presented by our friends at Whataburger. If you love banana pudding, you've got to try Whataburger's Banana Pudding Shake. Back, but for a limited time only. Welcome back to Still Talking Rangers, along with Dave Raymond, Jared Sandler. Thanks to our friends at Whataburger, and thanks to Corey for coming on. I thought that was really interesting.
I thought it was great. I mean, it's wonderful. He doesn't talk a lot, right? So that was a blast. It would take two loons to get you guys together, and I'm just glad that I could lurk a little bit. That was fun.
It was cool. I mentioned this in the conversation, and I'm sure you have this with guys from when you first started, where it's like, I remember when this guy was, whether it was a big prospect or just a guy who turned, his career around, whatever. It's cool to see the progression for guys.
It is really fun. And I think when you're in the minor leagues, you sometimes know who the most likely are. And there are way more stories of guys who don't make it, right, than there are the guys who turn out like Corey. So that makes it even more fun, right? I mean, he's a superstar, as big as they get.
I think in my time with the Dodgers, which was 2 years plus a month, they had 4 or 5 first-round picks, including like, the comp pick type picks. And Corey was the only first-round pick to, I don't want to say maybe make the major leagues, but he's the only first-round pick to accrue any sort of success in the major leagues. Yeah, it was interesting. I still think, he's a big guy, right? And you see him and you're like the stuff that those guys go through just physically, and it was really interesting to hear him talk about going to Wisconsin and the level of care. And you've remarked on this before because Core is very stoic, but you've remarked that he cares, and that you were on this like early, not this year. I'm talking about like a few years ago. Like this guy cares a lot more than what the emotions show. And I think care is carried out in a lot of ways. It's just the end result of the game or whatever moment, but also like the work you do outside of those 9 innings. And that was, I mean, he don't have to do that. He don't have to go to, none of these guys have to go above and beyond necessarily like that. I just thought it was interesting to hear.
Yeah, his work ethic and what he feels like he has to do to prepare himself every day. And these guys, all of them, by by definition, they have to spend a certain amount of time here and do a certain amount of work here every day. It's just part of the routine. But then other guys have even more. And he has a lot. And he has a very regimented set that he goes through. But the conversation about his son, his expected son in a few months, and that battle that he was having with, I don't want to miss that time with him. So I almost wanted to push back the whole idea of having a family a little bit because I think he feels an obligation to put in such an amount of time because I think like, oh, you'll see your kid, you'll have time, you'll have whatever. Well, that's because I'm a broadcaster. I don't have to go through the physical beating that these guys do and all the extra stuff that they have to deal with every day. Um, but yes, his competitive edge burns hot.
Yeah.
And it's just like Boch. I put Boch in the exact same group. Those two to me are peas in a pod because they come off as very cool. You never see them losing their minds. Um, but they burn as hot as anybody internally when it comes to the competition. And it's part of what makes them really cool. And they prep like crazy. They make it look easy. But when you talk to Boch, you find out like, man, there was not one trick he missed in that thing. He was so prepared for things that never even came up. And you don't do that by accident. Like you do that by preparing, by working every day.
I start to think about things like, I hope I don't forget this years from now. Like it's a horrible way to look at it. Just the idea that, you start to, as time passes, I obviously, I think it's gonna be tough to forget game 1 of the 2023 World Series and the home run. I think it'd probably be a little easier to forget because I think some people probably already do, but I hope I don't ever forget game 7 of the ALCS and the home run, which that was his first, like, show of emotion that I think fans connected with. But I just hope I don't forget that run in '23. Like, I saw Josh Hamilton in his MVP year where he hit 359 from afar. I think I was either, yeah, I was in college. So, I'm watching some and not watching. To get to watch 2023 Corey Seager every day, I mean, that was one of the greatest seasons in rate statistics because he missed some time that this franchise has ever seen. And in some ways, it was the best, like extra base hits per game, which is not a stat that anyone talks about, but extra base hits per game, best season ever. One of the best seasons ever for a shortstop with some of those types of numbers. And even some of and it was so good that even playing like 114 whatever games, just enough to be a qualifier, he still was, I think he led the American League in doubles maybe that year, if I remember. But like it, I don't know that I've ever seen someone go on a run like that, which carried into the postseason with my own eyes on a daily basis. I'm trying to think, like, is there a season you think about with a guy where you're like, wow, like, I can't believe he did it for that long?
Well, I would just say about that year for Corey, what bothers me about it is like what you saying, like the way you view it, remember it, and what you want to do is like I don't think I did take the time to appreciate it in the way I should have in the moment because I think the focus was so much on, oh, first of all, the 40 and 20 start, but then it was in the second
Yeah,
half, like,
shaky.
oh, are we going to get it together? How are we going to get there? Whatever. Um, you become so consumed with what the team was trying to accomplish. And sometimes that happens to guys, right? Like they have those seasons that are so incredible, but they're also, you know, a little bit buried by the bigger team concerns. Probably if Corey were to design it, that's how he would. Um, because he would rather not be, the center of attention, and especially the center of attention in a scenario in which the team isn't doing anything great. Because it really is all about the wins and losses. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, individuals, I just remember seeing, Barry Bonds, and my first job in the big leagues was calling just fill-in games in 2003. And yeah, just watching Bonds
Yeah, I'm
beat
sure it was
Bonds
amazing.
was
Yeah.
just the stupidest thing of all time.
I
It's
can't.
great.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Is there anyone like when I don't know? Is there anyone that can? There wasn't anyone with the Astros.
Well, Roger Clemens was great,
Okay.
but at that
Yeah.
time he was only doing 20 plus starts a year and he wasn't traveling. And so it was really an unusual situation. Andy Pettit was great. Um, so there were things like that. And Lance Berkman would have runs with Houston that were pretty spectacular. From afar,
And this was just to be clear. This was when it was okay to like Houston because they were in the National League. So it's
that's
like
right.
I
That's
actually
right.
like, remember rooting for the Astros at
Yeah.
that point. Which
Really?
I mean, yeah, they
I
were.
do run into people today who are like, yeah, but it's okay because they're in state. I'm like, no, that is not
No, I don't.
okay.
I don't like the argument now. Oh yeah, no, I just root for Texas teams, but I'm a Rangers fan. No, they get in the way of your favorite team's ability. No, National League Astros, fine. I've tried to wipe that from my memory.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish it was still that way, to be honest with you. I think,
That they were in the National League.
yeah, I think it would be great. Um,
You don't like the. Okay, so let me ask
well,
you.
no, I do love the fact that we're in the same division and it is that there's that intensity there. So that's true. I do really like that. But I just, whatever.
No, I get it. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just, I'm an old man. I just want everything to be the way it
The way
was.
it was. But yeah, I mean, Bonds that's another level. That's
Right. And that was something where, as you're watching it, you almost couldn't really believe it.
Bonds walked a ton. And it wasn't even because he had these great long battles. People walked him. I mean, whether it was intentionally or the unintentional intentional walk. Was there a level of was it ever not boring, but like did you ever feel unfulfilled because you'd go into a game and it's like, oh, he went 0 for 1 with 4 walks.
Right. Yeah, no, it was disappointing every time they chose to do that, but it also kind of amped up those moments where they were going to pitch to him. And even as he was being pitched to for, 1 or 2 times a game, you would wonder, like, if they fell behind 2-1, are they just going to give up and walk
Yeah.
him? But, you just hope that somebody accidentally throw him a strike and then it was going to be explosive. It was crazy. But yeah, there was a little disappointment to that. But then other guys had crazy good years around him because of that. Jeff Kent, Rich Aurelia, and others.
God,
So,
Rich Aurelia, if you look at like
oh
some random
man,
Rich Aurelia, it's like,
there
wow.
were some crazy times for Rich Aurelia. It was
Yeah.
just insane. So yeah, the sport's great that way,
Yeah.
especially when teams are hot and they're hitting and doing all that stuff. But I thought it was interesting too talking to Corey, and we didn't, I didn't exactly know how to get to what I was trying to get to, but there were struggles when he was with the Dodgers. Great Dodgers teams. I mean, losing 16 of 17 games, whether you're a good team or a bad team, is devastating. And they
And
went
then
through that.
it could wreck you up here,
Oh,
right?
yeah. No, it helped that they were like whatever they were, 91 and 36 or
Yeah,
something
when
going
you
into
said
that
that, I
stretch.
was like trying to do the math. I was like, "Oh my goodness."
It was goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is you sense that same calm though, right? He talked about, the confidence in the clubhouse, we'll get there. We're 70 some odd games into this thing. It has been a little bit of a slog, but they all know what we all know, which is this team was put together to score runs. They should score runs. Eventually, they will score runs. We've even seen glimpses of it, right? That last road trip and then the end of the previous homestand. It was a long stretch there where they looked pretty good offensively. All it takes is 1 or 2 guys getting a little hot and staying healthy, right? Just as Smitty gets the AL Player of the Week, he's shelved with the hamstring. Marcus got hot. That I think that kind of ignited everybody.
Yeah.
as soon as Corey gets hot, I think this thing could really take a turn in a really good direction.
Yeah, no, I agree. The last thing I'll say about Corey with the Dodgers, it's interesting that he came up with a team that was, when he was called up, and they were really good. I mean, they've been really good for 15 years with a lot of personalities and a lot of really good established players. I wonder what it would have been like if he would have been called up to a team that didn't have that. And like, would things be different? Because one thing I think is so great about him is he is so stubbornly him. He is like, I think he has blockers on as well as anyone that I've seen in my very small time. He is not going to be impacted by the outside noise. But like, that team was a great team for him to come up with because he could just play, right? And I wonder like how things would have been different. And I just think about it, not just with Corey, but isn't it amazing the dynamics that could impact a young player, the environment they're around when they come up? I mean, you know, I hate to say this. I think about Chase Dolander with the Rockies. Like, I don't know, maybe he's going to go and have a tremendous career. Maybe he won't. But what if he was drafted by a different organization that was better with pitchers and didn't have to deal with Coors Field? Maybe, and then the personality side of it and the leaders and how like the veterans can, it is kind of, I don't know, it's interesting to me.
All of those things have massive impact. I'm sure, just as we miss guys who don't even draft guys who could have been great, right? I'm certain that there are basically Nolan Ryans who never got a chance, right? Because nobody found him. Fortunately, somebody went to Alvin, Texas and got him. But I think those guys exist that were just never discovered. The same thing is true that there are Sandy Koufaxes and Corey Seagers scattered around baseball who are unfortunately behind superstars and either in a hopeless situation that way where there's no opportunity for them. And if they don't adapt to a new position or something that may or may not work for them or get traded or something like that, they may never get the chance. And I saw it firsthand in Houston, going back to those days with the Astros. Chris Burke got the largest bonus, first round signing bonus of anyone in team history, but he was behind Craig Biggio and he never really got the chance. Got some opportunity to play a little bit of outfield. He did not ever really get the chance at the right time, right?
Yeah.
There's that window for a person. He's not, he doesn't begrudge anybody. He doesn't, lose any sleep over it. He had a career, but I'm certain that Chris Burke's career could have been a lot different if he were in a different circumstance.
Yeah. I mean, I think about
Crazy.
Jurickson Profar and,
Yeah.
and maybe it was injury, but maybe he got bad advice and coming back from an injury or going to, like, it just, yeah, it's really interesting. Chris Burke thing, that's a great example.
Yeah. Anyway, it worked out
Yeah.
for Corey, and he's a Ranger.
And we're still
And
talking
that worked
about
out
him.
for all of us.
And
Yeah.
we're still talking about him. We're
Yeah.
still talking Rangers.
It was awesome.
I do remember, the last thing I'll say is I remember when that's first spring training in 22, see Corey and Marcus wearing a Rangers uniform in spring training. I was like, holy smokes, these guys are Rangers. And
Yep.
that was kind of neat.
It is kind of neat. It's important. And I think Chris Young understands why that's important. And that's what's so cool about it. And I think it's the same thing with DeGrom, right? I use this line from time to time that I think guys stand a little taller on days where DeGrom is pitching, right? You feel like, yeah, it's a podcast. I'm a badass today because that's my boy on the mound.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? And that's real. And I think that's true. I think when you're in a junior high team or a high school team and you've got that super stud guy and you're not sure if he's going to play, not play, whatever for your team, but he shows up into the gym, you all suddenly oh yeah, you pull up your britches a little bit and you're like, all right, yeah, now we're ready to go. Now I'm a little tougher right now.
Well, I think that's good conversation for today, right?
That's it. That's all I got. I'm tapped. Well, I'm not tapped out.
No, because you're
We
still
got a
gonna be
game
talking
tonight. I'll still be
Rangers.
talking
Yeah.
Rangers.
Want to thank Corey Seager for being with us. Want to thank everyone part of today's broadcast. We're going to land the plane very quickly. This has been another episode of Still Talking Rangers. For Dave Raymond, I'm Jared Sandler. So long.